Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Real Israel Podcast with me, your host, Chaim Mailspin. Join us as we dive into Israel's past, present, and future as we explore the rich history, current events, and visionary perspectives shaping this dynamic region. Would you say that a lot of people maybe discovered you through that interview in Al Jazeera? And why am I bringing that up? Because that is showcasing that we're not just a democracy shoved in here. That is not the case, that we're just some democracy that could be anywhere, forced into what is not our land. If you could really unpack what you said in that, and when was that again? That was in 19...
It was my first, it wasn't my first interview, but my first famous
one
interview for Al Jazeera was in June 1st, 2008.
2008, okay.
And you can actually bring an insert.
Yes, well, that would be very good.
Let's see.
Yeah, a part of it.
A professor of Arab studies at Bar-Ilan University is not only fighting for Israel, but is unafraid to appear on the Al Jazeera news network, refuting Arab claims in regards to the holy city of Jerusalem.
Now,
wow.
In this thing, the broadcaster, who is, by the way, he is a Muslim Brotherhood activist.
Is that right?
Yeah, he is Muslim Brotherhood.
You are a brave man, I'll tell you.
Now, what struck him is the fact, first of all, that I know about the Quran more than he does. Jerusalem doesn't appear in the Quran.
Right, because he was asking, what are you doing in our holy city, Jerusalem, right?
Right, so you say, yeah.
And you said...
We are here when your forefathers were drinking wine, burying the daughters alive, and worshipping idols and idolaters.
Right.
So and this is their history, not my history.
Right.
Because Islam is only 14 centuries. While we Jews are in Jerusalem worshipping the one and only God for 3,000 years, more or less. So definitely we were in Jerusalem worshipping one God when their forefathers in the desert, according to their story, not according to mine.
Wow.
To them, what they tell about their forefathers, who before Islam, in the Jahiliyyah phase, were drinking wine and so forth. So, so I use this information, which every Muslim knows.
Right.
And it's okay.
And is it true Jerusalem's not mentioned in the Quran at all?
No.
Wow.
Not the word Al-Quds, which is the modern name.
Right.
It is a short of Bait al-Maqdis.
The Migdash, the temple. Our temple.
It is in the Hadith, but not in the Quran.
Okay.
And Ilia, which is the Roman name, Ilia Capitolina. And of course the Christian name Urushalim or Urushalem definitely doesn't appear in the Quran.
Okay.
So here we are. Not even one of the 4 names of Jerusalem appears in the Quran. So look, the whole thing is a fake.
I mean, even Al-Aqsa Mosque, actually the original one is in Saudi Arabia. What's that place called?
According to Islamic sources, historians, geographers, the Al-Aqsa, which the further mosque, was in a town or near a town named Ju'ran.
Yes.
In Saudi
the edge
Arabia,
of...
like almost 30 kilometers to the northeast from Mecca. And in those days, it has 2 mosques near there, the Muslims built in the days of order of Muhammad. One was closer to the village, so it was named the closer mosque, Al-Masjid al-Adna. While the other one on the other side of the valley, which is further from the village, it was named the further mosque, Al-Masjid al-Aqsa.
Amazing.
Because they're two, closer and further. There's the whole thing.
Okay, what if I was an angry presenter and I say...
50 years after Muhammad died, he died in 632 CE. In 682, there was a rebellion in Mecca, and a guy named Abdullah ibn Zubayr did not allow the Umayyads who resided here to come to Hajj, to Mecca.
The pilgrimage,
The pilgrimage. So, and he closed the gates in the faces. So they went back and they took Jerusalem as an alternative place for a pilgrimage, claimed that the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is mentioned in the Quran, is actually in Jerusalem and not in Jordan. And they ordered the Muslims who live in this area to come to pilgrimage in Jerusalem and not to Mecca. Means it was actually a competition between 2 clans tribalism, which took a religious garment over it in order to shed religious legitimacy over the standpoint of each family.
Right.
And this is the combination between tribalism and Islam.
Amazing.
And they concocted thousands of stories about Muhammad, about Jerusalem, who flew in the night journey.
What if I say he flew in the night? The angel Gabriel took him and flew him on this horse and went to Jerusalem.
Well, first of all,
What would you say? It's true.
It reminds us of many of the 1,000 Nights and One Night stories. A man, Sindbad, who is riding all kinds of animals. This is the same thing. Second thing, we find the same story, or almost identical story, with Pegasus in the Greek mythology. So the Arabs had enough sources to adopt, the big question, if Allah wanted to take his servant at night from Mecca to Jerusalem, why did he need a horse? Allah could take him without a horse.
Right.
After all, Allah can do whatever he likes. Why doesn't he need a horse?
Right.
That now he has to tie it. It is totally, So the whole story is weird story, or weird. It's connected to the culture of the area, which Muslim. So they took this story and then concocted it or connected it to Jerusalem in order. Look, they said that the night journey was from Mecca to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem, the angel Gabriel, took Muhammad up to the heavens. And this is why he didn't come from Mecca to heaven.
And this is not in the Quran, this is in the Hadith.
It's a Hadith. It's the stories. He came to Jerusalem. From Jerusalem, he ascended to Allah.
Yeah.
So where will you go to Hajj? To Mecca or to Jerusalem? Much more important.
He'd go to
He
Jerusalem.
left Mecca, came to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem he ascended to heaven. So it's clear that Jerusalem is in a higher status. And there were many hadiths were created about the value of the prayer in Jerusalem and all kinds of other things connected to Jerusalem in order to elevate the status of Jerusalem on the expense of Mecca.
Right.
And this was between, and also not only this, the Umayyad, according to an Arab historian named Ibn al-Batrik, the Umayyads who controlled this area ordered the Christians of Baalbek in Lebanon to dismantle a dome, a golden dome, which they had on one of their churches, and to bring it to Jerusalem and to build the golden dome over the rock. Now, it's not the golden dome which you see today, because today what you see is the cover which King Hussein of Jordan arranged and sponsored. But the original dome of the rock was a golden dome which was stolen by the Umayyads from one of the churches in Baalbek.
In Lebanon. Oh, in Lebanon. Wow. And Suleiman the Magnificent didn't he also donate, I think?
Thousands of years.
Okay. You're saying the beginning. Okay. I gotcha.
So what I mean is that the whole thing about Islam and the land of Israel and Jerusalem especially is based on concoctions of the Umayyads who invented all kinds of stories, hadith, which is a story, in order to win the struggle on the centrality in Islam, whether it will be in Mecca under the Hashemites, the house of Hashem, who remained in Mecca, who remained in the Hijaz, or will it be centered here in this part of the Middle East under the auspice of the Umayyads. So this struggle between two clans actually found its expression in religious issues.
Okay, so now to bring it to this war that we're facing right now, just even before we get into the Seven Front War, and there's more than 7 fronts, I believe, but how do these Persians, these Iranians really believe, with all these clashes, that Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini and his revolution, export the revolution, how do they think that there's Salafi, there's Wahhabi, there's Alawi, there's, you have the versions that say you should take land and hold land, and there's other ones that say, no, we just take everything, it's not they don't believe in a border, there's no border. Some have border, some say no border. So how do they think they can do this and destroy us?
The Iranians believed, and I think they still believe, that the hatred to Israel will unite all the factions, all the countries, all the organizations, although they are different from each other, although they might have even struggles with each other, yet the hatred to the Jews and Israel is strong enough. And they did it, and they assumed it because in Islam, Judaism has no right to exist. Why? According to their interpretation of Islam. Islam is the religion which came to the world to replace Christianity,
Right.
which came originally to the world to replace Judaism. So Judaism was cancelled twice, once by Christianity, once by Islam. Okay, so there is no Jewish religion. Din batil is the same in Arabic, means religion of falsehood, or cancelled religion, and so there is no point to have a Jewish state. Why do you need the state for a religion which doesn't exist?
Right.
This is one thing. Second thing is the territory.
Right.
This is an Islamic land because any
Okay.
land which was ever under Islamic rule belongs to Islam. No way
That's
to
right.
take it out. And every land has a one-way ticket to enter the house of Islam, not to come out. Okay? Just like by the way they talk about Spain, which should return to be Islamic.
Right.
The island of Sicily, which should return to be Islamic.
Interesting.
Large parts in the Balkans, all the way up to the gates of Vienna.
Because they're all Dar al-Harb instead of Dar al-Islam.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once these countries
Place
were
of
under
war.
Islamic rule, they should forever remain under Islamic
Right.
rule, and there is no way to take them out. So this is the second problem, the territory. The
Wow.
third problem is that the Jews are not a nation. There are communities which belong to all the nations in the world. A Jew in America is an American from the national point of view, and he happen to be Jewish, just like others who are Christians, Muslims, or whatever they are, or atheists. A Jew in Iraq is an Iraqi Arab who happen to be Jewish, just like the other Iraqi Arabs who happen to be Christians, Muslims, Yazidis, whatever they are. The same thing everywhere. So, since there are communities, they should all go to the place which they came from.
Right.
Because there is no such a nation. They don't have the same language, they don't have the same food, they don't have the same clothing, different culture, different nations. So, and religion doesn't make a nation. This is how the situation in Islam. Because there are many ethnic groups in Islam, Arabs, Persians, Kurds, Turkish, and so forth. And the Islam didn't galvanize them to make them into one nation.
Right.
The same thing with Christianity. There are Christians in Korea, there are Christians in Norway, there are Christians in
Right.
Africa, and
They're
in
not
South
one
America.
people at all,
So
yeah.
Christianity is not something which made a nation. There is no Christian nation. So why should Judaism galvanize together the Jew who came from America, who came from Iraq, came to Yemen or Russia? So this is why they don't believe that there is a Jewish nation. So all those who came here should go back to the places which their parents came from. So this is the third problem. The fourth problem is anyway Jews must live under the Islamic yoke, under Islamic mercy, under Islamic auspice, as dhimmis. People who live under the
Yeah.
auspice
And
of
pay the jazia.
pay the jizya, and you be humiliated. They cannot ride a horse, only a donkey. They have to go around with a yellow patch. And this was an invention not of the Nazis.
Yeah.
This was the invention of the Baghdad of the 9th century,
Yeah.
under the Abbasids. And Christians should be marked with purple,
Okay.
patch or scarf or hat, just like
Okay.
Jews in yellow. And why? Because both Jews and Christians are impure according to their belief, and that's why they should be marked in order not to touch them. A Jew and a Christian should walk in the sewage canal in the street, not on the sidewalk. And the sewage canal in the Middle Ages had everything which came out from the households, and not only from the kitchen. Okay?
Sewage, yeah.
Sewage.
Yeah.
And the Jew and the Christian should walk in the sewage in order to humiliate them. Because they are, okay? So as a result, the Jews have no right to state, to independence, sovereignty, land, army, police, government, any manifestation of sovereignty and liberty. Jews have no right because they have to live under the yoke of Islam as dhimmis, just like Christians. So the state of Israel has absolutely no right to exist as a Jewish state. Now, not only this, the Jewish state was established is a collaboration between the evangelical Christian world. Lord Balfour,
That's right.
he was an
Alfred Balfour,
evangelical Anglican Christian who believed that all the Jews who come to the Holy Land. And this is what stood behind his declaration of 1917.
And then the League of Nations agreed to that.
Nations in San Remo of 1920 and so forth. So the whole, and the United Nations and the Security Council, whatever, it means that Israel, as a Jewish state, is a collaboration between Judaism and Christianity against Islam. To bring Judaism back to life. Back to life, to have some kind of resurrection for the Judaism. And this is something which Muslims cannot accept, cannot believe, cannot fathom.
Could it even be a threat to them?
A threat?
Because there's so many. How could it be a threat to them?
This is a theological threat over Islam. If Judaism comes back to life,
Okay.
what will be with Islam, which came to the world to replace Judaism and Christianity?
Oh.
This is the problem. This is a theological problem before it is anything connected to territory or legal rights or whatever.
Yeah.
It is a theological problem which Muslims, especially the radical ones, are facing when they have to look at Israel as some kind of a state which exists. It inflates their jihad glands.
Yeah.
Because now they feel that they must save Islam from the danger of the returning of Judaism to life, of the resurrection of Judaism. This is what pushes many of them. And the Iranians are building on it, are counting on it. Hamas, Hezbollah, these militias, they are all absorbed this kind of idea, this kind of thinking about Israel. And you can hear it in sermons, you can hear it, you can read it in books, you can read it in pamphlets, whatever.
Right.
This is, I would say, the bottom line of the propaganda against Israel in the Islamic world.
Yeah, there's a lie that it's about the Palestinians or that they really care about the Palestinians, which they don't. There's Palestinians in Syria, there's Palestinians, they don't get this care from their Islamic brothers, but what they do want to do, if they pull in Ansar Allah, the Houthis, and they pull in the Hezbollah, and they pull in the Seven Front War all over, and the Hamas, and Islamic Jihad, and Jabhat al-Nusra, and could they pull in Al-Qaeda? Could they pull in ISIS? Could they pull in Taliban? They could pull anyone in, maybe, in the Iranian octopus. And
this is actually what Qasem Soleimani tried to build this web of organizations, including Hamas and Hezbollah. Although Hamas are Sunnah, yet they hate to Israel. And then the feeling of necessity to get rid of Israel because Israel is a challenge, a theological challenge to Islam. So he counted on it. The problem is that Hamas started the war before all the others because they were supposed to wait until everybody starts the war together. And if they, by surprise.
Right.
And if they did it, the Hezbollah from the north, Hamas from the south, and the militias from the east, from Syria, from Iraq, with a barrage of missiles and drones, Israel would be gone within a week. This was their assumption. And this was realistic.
Yeah, I want to ask you, where is there hope for the future? How will this war, how will we have victory and victory that will last? I don't even want to say end the war. I want to know how will we have victory strong enough where there can be a season of peace or peace for a long time? Will we have to stay in Syria and Lebanon and Gaza and?
Well, in the Middle East, as the tribal toolbox and the Islamic toolbox, both can give temporary peace to an enemy who is too powerful to mess with.
Hudna, right?
It is called Hudna in the tribal vocabulary,
right?
And it is called Hudaybiyah peace in the Islamic discourse.
Okay. What is
Both,
it again?
It is a temporary peace which Muhammad signed with the infidels of Mecca for almost 10 years, but he violated it after 2 years when they fell asleep on God. Okay? So this is both toolboxes of the Middle East can give temporary peace to an enemy who is powerful, consolidated, dangerous, disproportional, and invincible. he can get temporary peace.
But
If Israel will be such a country, it will enjoy temporary peace.
But not actually peace, it's not sulha.
However, not sulha. However, because we are different.
Right, it's just ceasefire.
If Israel is consolidated, united, disproportional, dangerous, vicious, and invincible forever, it will enjoy a temporary peace forever.
So that's like a ceasefire forever. Okay.
Ceasefire which nobody dares
Right.
to violate because the punishment will be tremendous. It is called in one word, deterrence.
Right.
Based on deterrence, if Israel succeeds to rebuild its or regain its deterrence, it can be the basis not for hugs and kisses or fully acceptance, but for temporary peace, which can last only as long as Israel is strong. However, I must say, in the Gulf, especially in the United Arab Emirates, the Islamic thought is different. They don't look at Israel as a country which has no right to exist. They delegate everything to Allah. If Allah decided that there should be Israel, who are we?
Right.
Who are we to go against the divine decision? We didn't get any nomination, neither by fax, nor by phone, nor by WhatsApp, or nor by Facebook, and to be the executioners of Allah.
Right.
Allah is strong enough, He's omnipotent, He can do whatever He likes.
And the Gulf states?
Allah doesn't need us to kill the Jews. If He wants, He will kill them by Himself in no time.
And who's it that thinks this way? Is
The Emirates.
the Emirates? Okay.
The kind of thinking in the Gulf is this kind. That we are not the executioners of Allah, since we didn't get the nomination yet. And we live in a world as it is. Israel is there. Israel has friends, especially America. Israel has its own power. Okay, we cooperate with Israel for the good of the world in general and our good as well. Where exactly is the problem? When Allah decides to get rid of Israel, He will do. He knows how to do it. He knows how to arrange this thing. Who are we? And this is the kind of thinking in the Gulf. This is why they have no problem to have normalization with us.
Right.
Unlike Egypt and Jordan, who made only peace, cold peace, without any normalization.
And I know the historical story of Noah and the flood. And the flood was essentially to punish the unbelievers who were so wicked. And that's what Hamas called their attack and the walls of Jericho operation. And they called it Al-Aqsa flood to punish us, the baddies. So would you say that could, people like you who speak Arabic, maybe others who could come from the Emirates and could maybe over time share, hey, no, there's not, you're not the flood makers, you are the Emirates. And I liked what you said about various Emirates potentially even here in this area. Yeah,
definitely. You have to follow the culture. If you build a state against the culture, it will blow up. As it happened in Syria, it happened in Iraq, which were all made upon the idea of nationalism, which will include the Arabs and the Kurds and the Muslims and the Christians and the Alawis and the Druze and everybody in Syria. But it didn't work.
Yeah.
Because nationalism is based on theory that there are Syrian Arab citizens. But don't forget that the borders of Syria were not marked by Syrians. They were marked by Sykes-Picot, the British and the French. So why should one village feel that he's inside and the other one will not, because only because the border, artificial border.
Artificial marker.
Yeah. And not only this, in Islam there are many who think that borders between countries are illegitimate because Allah created the world without borders.
Right.
For everybody together to live in peace under the Islamic rule, under the Islamic flag.
Right.
So this is why they erased the borders between Iraq and Syria.
Right.
Because they don't believe in borders like this.
I think I wish in a way I could have lived in your parents' time and see get on the train and go to Damascus, go to Baghdad on the Jazia, what is it? No, on the jihad. On the train.
Oh, the Hijaz.
Hijaz Railway. Railway.
Yeah.
But we don't live it. We live in a time with borders. Do you think that with the rise of Tahiyat al-Shams, the Julani and his new rebels, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams, al-Sham, and that includes Israel, Sham, which he thinks and he's voiced that he wants to take over all of Israel too. But do you think that there could be a way to work with them other than just putting a buffer zone, which we have, a couple kilometers in there with our soldiers? But could there be a way with Syria to formulate some sort of new future?
Look,
and Lebanon?
We have learned our lesson in Gaza. Mm-hmm. Gaza was a normal state, factually, since Hamas took it over in June of 2007, and it was more or less, manageable until the war, until 23. Means between 2007 and 23 are 16 and a half years. 16 and a half years which Hamas built its power, while Israel was not aware of this, or I don't know. Imagine that we have, let's say, 20 years of cooperation, of peace with Syria. What do you think will be the Israeli approach to Syria? Very good country, very stable country. We have cooperation in such and such areas. And there's no jihad. We are going there every day and night. And we have the alcoholic beverages. And there are also gambling places, which is prohibited in Islam. So, Syria is modern. Julani became a poodle, and everything is okay. Now, what are the chances that they are actually deceiving us, just like Hamas?
Right.
And they are preparing the October 7th the next time. So this is the point.
Could be good chances. So the last thing I want to ask as we wrap up, before you talk to the young students and people who are chanting, for example, anti-Semitic things, or what I really can't believe that I hear chanting sometimes is intifada, intifada, intifada now. And we lived through the intifada. But just before that, if you would, and Khaybar al Yahud, you can't say that stuff. But anyway, I believe in freedom of speech. But anyway, before we get into that, last question is about the future of Gaza. There's been they're floating a plan. Trump has a plan. It's been rejected by the Arab Summit, and they have their own plan of $55 billion to be injected in the next 5 years. What would you say about the future of Gaza?
I really don't know. Because this is the first time which we see such a thing in Gaza, in particular, and in the Palestinian issue in general. What we see more or less in the Middle East is whenever there is such a big war in a place, people usually run away. It happened in Syria because of the Arab Spring, which was called. Millions left Syria. To Jordan, to Lebanon, to Turkey, 2.5 million, to other countries in Europe. So they are, from our point of view, they can go tomorrow, yesterday even. Israel will not interfere. And maybe Israel might be facilitate it by bringing them either to Ashdod or to take a ship, or to Ben Gurion to fly them, or...
Maybe Sinai, the same stretch of land, just on the... more south?
I don't count on the Egyptians, because the Egyptians could care less about the Palestinians. If they care, they would let them run away from Gaza.
They have a passport.
Long ago. I don't believe that the Hamas, if they have any role in the future, they will do only things which serve Israel. So why to begin with, let them interfere in the issues of this place? The solution for Gaza, first of all, will start to come when the population come back to their homes. Because right now, every family, a nuclear family, of father, mother, and sons, actually is living by itself.
A nuclear family.
Without the family. So if and when they go back to the place, only to find, the destruction. But if they have, let's say, 10 cities or 10 towns near the places which they lived formerly, They can live there for a while and look at the house and what now? They don't see Tel Aviv from there. Maybe good weather you can see something, but I don't think so. So this is what I mean. As long as the society in Gaza is destroyed as it is, I don't see any prospects to any plan, because you don't have anyone to rely on. Maybe if you bring a bully like Dahlan to Gaza, he might control it if you give him enough money.
Or the Emirates or someone? Or,
in the Emirates, maybe also they might do something here, especially when it comes to construction. And look, they have in the Emirates a very, very big company of construction, Emirates it's called. In Dubai, it builds without any borders. So,
right. Well, I think once they leave, we really have to check who's coming back and check their record, if they are prone to terror, if they're teaching jihadism,
I think that President Trump, when he talked about the evacuation of Gaza, he thought about turning Gaza into a harbor, which will be part of the peace corridor, which starts in India, goes to the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel.
That's right.
And now they have to load all the cargo to ships to Europe. This is a perfect place. It has 40 kilometers length of shore.
Yes.
And they have many buildings which are waiting to be thrown to the sea to build a breaker, which is very cheap material and very good material. And of course, notice you can complete it, but you can build a harbor there, you can build storage spaces for the goods which come from the east or go to the east. You can have a good governance of the place. You can have whatever you like. You can build, dormitories and everything for those who come to work, and an airport. Yeah, you can turn it into something very fruitful and very, acceptable for the Europeans and for everybody. At the beginning, people, of course, will complain, but later, when they understand that that this area can actually bring some remedy to the world economy, so why not? And this is what I feel that is going to be.
I hope so. So. As we conclude, would you mind sharing to people that are watching, whether they're Jewish, whether they're non-Jewish, whether they're Christian, whether they're Arabic-speaking Muslims, whether they're young leaders trying to figure this all out, and some of them are being brainwashed, and is there a word that you could, something that can encourage them on their path as truth speakers?
First of all, ideally, everybody should read Arabic. Just read it, to understand what is written there. And in order to show the real picture of what all goes on in the Arabic media. And today media bring you everything. This is one thing. Second thing, to learn the Quran. If you learn the Quran, you will find the places which it can show you how to think about Islam through the lens of the Quran. It's not easy, but it's doable. And of course, learn about the history of the Islamic nations. In the Middle East, there is a book, a very important book, written by Bernard Lewis, What Went Wrong in the Middle East. It's a booklet, but it's a very important one.
What went wrong in the Middle East?
And whatever is written by Bernard Lewis, just get it and learn it, because with the years, everybody understands that Bernard Lewis was a prophet almost in his time. So this is what I recommend to read. And of course, the writings of Robert Spencer are very good, and Daniel Pipes.
Oh, he's good. Yeah, he's very good.
So these people, I would do invest in their writings.
Okay, and just last thing is, if a student in a campus is listening to someone saying Khaybar, which is when a massacre happened by Muhammad, right, on a Jewish village, primarily Jewish village, and then just killed the father in front of the daughter, all that. So that's not nice. Or intifada. We believe in free speech, right? But what can we do, and what should be done? How can we handle this?
Look, there are many ways how to face the propaganda against Israel, which is today against the Jews as well. And you have to tailor these messages according to the environment which you are going to broadcast it. If it is a radio show and you are given, let's say, 10 minutes, you can record 10 minutes with whatever you think is appropriate. You can change it, you can edit, you can edit it. And so most chances it comes out the best which you can provide. So this is when it comes to radio interviews. TV, it's more of a problem. But you know, whoever succeeds in the two first ones will succeed also in this.
I think you're one of my biggest heroes, Mordechai.
Thank you so much.
And I think of Esther and Mordechai because, Purim, there was this story of a man who stood up. He became a governor, like a prime minister. And I just thank you for speaking to all the Esthers and all the other young Mordechais out there.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning into yet another episode of the Real Israel podcast with me, Chaim Mailspin, where truth shines, dispelling the darkness. And if you found value in today's episode, please like it, comment, we want to hear from you, and subscribe. Click that notification bell and share it. Join the conversation and be a truth speaker for Israel.